Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me today. Today's session is just a video for those who've never done Pilates before, or even if you just wanted a little refresher about some underlying fundamentals that we apply to the Pilates methodology. So there are different types of Pilates that you might come across, in terms of you might go to the gym and they've got some group classes going. And then you have smaller studios, like myself. I only run 4 in a group, and the Pilates that I teach is based on the traditional Pilates that Joseph Pilates introduced way back closer to World War II, a long time ago. To do a lot of the Pilates exercises, there's some things that you need to understand about how your body needs to be placed. The great thing about it is it will give you some really good self-awareness for how you move in day-to-day life, or how you apply it to maybe even just your gym workout, or how you sit, just a better body awareness, which will help with your health as well. So there's normally a few things that we focus on, but there's probably 3 really important things I'm going to take you through. So Pilates does focus on things like your breathing, pelvic floor, your core strength, overall body strength, your posture, your flexibility, your mobility, and I think I mentioned the pelvic floor at the start. So when we talk about our core strength, and that's probably my number one thing that people will say to me, I need to improve my core strength. There's a lot of people just think of their abdominals here in front, but the core actually is a system that works together and involves a few different parts of the body and muscle groups. So what I'm going to do is take you through 3 to 4 steps, and then you'll apply those to the Pilates moves. Don't be too concerned if you can't do A, B, C and D all at the one time. So everything that I'll teach you today, if you can't do all of it, it's okay. It does take time, and then also the muscle memory. So the brain has to recognize what it is that you're trying to achieve. So the first thing I normally get my clients to do when they come into the studio is to focus on waking up the pelvic floor. 9 times out of 10 they haven't done any work for a while, or if they have, it's not consistent. So what I would like you to do is, if you can grab a towel, pause the video if you need to, grab a towel. This is just a small hand towel, and then we're going to roll it up. Okay, good. Now this issue does affect women more than it does men, but it's still handy to look after that even in men's health. Men do get prolapses as well. Okay, so what we're going to do with this towel is going to give you some feedback on that pelvic floor working. So I want you to place it onto the chair here, right in the middle, and I want you to sit over the top so it sits between your thighs. Okay, alright, so sit in a nice tall posture. I want you to imagine using the muscles you use to stop the wee flow. So as you breathe out, I want you to draw those muscles in. Okay, so there's a feeling of lifting those muscles up when you use those muscles to stop the wee flow. And it's when you relax that hopefully you can feel that feedback from the towel there. Okay, so again, try to think about drawing the muscles in and then relaxing them. Okay, so I'm going to try about 10 of these. So I'm going to come up to my 3rd one here now, lifting up and back down. And as I'm going to talk you through this, I'm going to still keep going, so keep going. You might not feel much to start off with, but just practice it. Eventually it does come to you, okay? If you're ever concerned though, I would always recommend going to a pelvic floor physiotherapist. I know I have a really good one in Croydon. But there are a couple others spread out around the state as well. Okay, so I'm probably on about my 6th one now. I also want you to envision the muscles that you use to stop wind. So we're using our front and rear passage. The pelvic floor is like a bowl. So this is your front of your pelvis, and this is the back near, more near your anus. Okay, so when the bowl actually lifts, it goes from this more up to this, like an opposite dome, okay? So think about drawing through the front and rear passage and then relax. And again. Good. And as you get used to this, try not to hold your breath. Make sure you're breathing through it. Ideally trying to breathe out as you engage the pelvic floor. So again, think of the muscles you use to stop the wee, stop your wind, and then back down, okay? So we're going to go for a hold now. I want you to draw that pelvic floor in. I want you to hold for me. We're going to go about 30 seconds. When you're there, I don't want any tension in your glutes or your thighs. They should be nice and relaxed. I will put an image up in this video so you get a visual of what that pelvic floor does, okay? So keep holding for me. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. So I suggest maybe just practice on getting that feel. Try it 10 times, add a hold, rest, try again, and do at least 3 sets, and try 3 times a day initially, okay? All right, so I'm going to take that towel out from underneath. And the next part I'm going to speak to you about is our neutral spine. I'm going to take my chair around here, okay? Now most would be aware of this, but when we sit, okay, this is me in a nice, lovely, good posture, sitting away at my desk or whatever it is that I'm doing. Now as you sort of get into your work, what tends to happen is you watch the back of my hips, they start to slouch, we get a little hunched over, we're doing this, we've got our elbow on the table, and all of a sudden that natural curvature in the back has just slumped. Okay, we need to keep that natural curvature in the back, okay? Doing that sort of motion leads you to a lot of injuries, and most commonly your disc bulge, okay? So you can think of the pelvic floor here still, okay? Now often at the studio I'll have you lying down, and we will do this in the middle, but what I want to show you as I'm sitting up, that if I bring my knee up and I don't use my tummy muscles, what happens is my back flattens and it sort of relaxes back to that slumped position. But if I actually leave my core muscles on, it shouldn't move. Okay, so hopefully you can see the difference here. It's staying nice and straight, okay? And it's not slumping, okay? Because I've lost that control of the abdominals, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to come off this chair. We're going to go down on the mat lying and down. If you have a cushion handy or a small ball that you can pop between your knees, you can go and grab that. Okay, great. So lying down onto the mat here. Okay, we're nice and relaxed, okay? If you can, if it's one hand or both hands, whatever you can. Some people can't with their shoulders if they have pathologies. You're just going to pop your hands underneath the back of your hips here, okay? And what I want you to be able to feel is a difference like I did between sitting without our tummy working and with it working. Okay, so if you bring one foot off the mat and don't use your tummy, you'll feel a bit of pressure coming to your hand. So I've got my left leg up here and I can feel some pressure in the back of my hip into my left hand. Okay, so I'm going to bring it back down. Now what I want you to just visualize for now is just trying to switch on your tummy muscles. Just gently pull them on, okay? And then as you bring that same leg up, try not to move your hips so that you maintain that neutral spine, okay? And then bring the leg back down. Have another try again. Just try to get this, waking up the tummy muscles a little, and then try the opposite side. Okay, good. We'll practice that one more time on each side. I often say to my clients, imagine you've got a really rare butterfly under that lower curve. You don't want to squash it, but you don't want to let it out either. All right? You just want to keep that normal space there, okay? So once you're familiar with that feeling, I'm going to try and teach you how to activate your abdominals as best as we can. It doesn't always happen straight away, so just be patient, and in time you'll find that you'll be able to feel this sensation of a hugging of your hips of your abdominal wall. And I will put an image up on the video so that you can kind of visualize what we call the TA muscle working. Okay, so the TA muscle starts right along the center of your belly here, and then it wraps itself around towards the back. Okay, it's a very big muscle sheath, and it starts low and comes up really high, and you'll see that in the image. So if you have your ball handy, you're going to pop it between your knees or a cushion. Okay, sometimes this can help activate the TA muscle. Once you've done that, relax your arms down by your side. Okay, and then from there, what I want you to visualize is a flattening of the abdominal wall out towards your hips. So thinking of like when you open a page of books and you flatten the pages out to the side. See if you can visualize something like that happening as you squeeze the cushion. Okay, I'm going to grab my cushion while you practice. Okay, so I'm going to put this cushion between my knees here. Alright, just some practice. Gentle squeeze of the knees and a flattening of the tummy. And I want you to focus on your breathing. Try to breathe out as you try to switch those muscles on. It also helps if you bring the pelvic floor on. So I'm drawing my pelvic floor in now as I squeeze. And you may feel just something a little here waking up a bit. Okay? But again, if you don't, that's okay. It's day one. It will come over time, and practice, like anything, makes perfect, right? Good. So there's 3 things I normally go through with this. You're on your second one. There is a lot to think about, but I want you now to start to try to, as you squeeze the cushion, just press your back a little into the mat. Sometimes that can help fire up that tummy as well. Okay, so if you're not quite feeling anything, a little flattening of the back as you squeeze the cushion. We'll go 2 more times. This is probably the only time I tell you not to flatten your back, so to speak. You know, it's not often that I will say that. You always want to build up your strength with your natural spine curvature. Okay, good. So I'm going to take that pillow out, and again, like I said, if it's something you haven't gotten today, just practice and we'll see whether or not we can get it firing up. So the term neutral spine is just about maintaining that curvature in your lower back, along with using your lower tummy to help hold that spine still. Think of it like the tummy and your spinal muscles sandwiching that spine to keep it stable. Alright, so let's have a practice of this now. Alright, and we're going to go back to one leg up in what I call tabletop. And then think about drawing the pelvic floor on, engaging your lower tummy if you can, and bringing the other leg up to match. From here, you'll bring that first leg back down to rest on the floor, and then the next one. Let's try it again, but start with the opposite foot. So one leg up, pelvic floor, lower abdominals. Then the next leg up, first leg goes back down, and then the next one. Okay, so it's what we call up, up, down, down. But I want you to actually now think about what's actually happening here while I do this. Well, what's actually happening is your pelvis is just staying nice and still, staying nice and stable. Okay, so as you go up, it might be a bit wobbly day one. Okay, if there's no core strength there, you'll feel your hips move, you'll feel your back arch. Okay, that's okay. We'll just build up the strength doing something like this. So just practice getting that lower abdominals, working with your spine muscles. And what you'll notice is as you come up, you can feel your tummy switch on, but I want you to keep that tummy on as you go down, because your back will want to arch now. So as I lower my leg, that back will want to lift up and the hips move. Let's go 2 more. Do not hold your breath. Good, last one. Good. So we have three systems working together. We have your pelvic floor, your TA muscle here, and your spinal muscles to maintain neutral spine. They're the main things that you want to focus on when you're doing your moves in Pilates. While I have you here, I am going to add something else for you. So we've focused a lot on this area here, but what about our upper tummy muscles here? Okay. If you can, okay, if you have no shoulder pathologies, bring your arms up to reach for the ceiling. Now, if I don't use my tummy muscles, if you look at my rib cage, it's going to flare up, it's going to pop out, okay, it's going to reach up towards the ceiling, and you'll see I've got a little gap under here, yeah? Okay, so I'm going to bring it back in. Now, if you focus on the little gap between your rib cage here, what I want you to do is kind of feel like you're drawing the gap closed. You'll feel the back of your ribs press into the mat, and you'll lose that space I had before. So bring your arms up, okay, hold them there. Now, try to close the gap by pressing the back of the ribs into the mat. Now, if you're looking at my rib cage, hopefully it stays down as my arms come back. So I'm using my upper abdominals to hold those ribs down and then bring it back up. And again, practice with me. Good. And what this does, if you can imagine when you're standing, it's just teaching your body to dig deep, get all those deep muscles that surround the joints to hold your body in good placement. You don't want your ribs poking out, okay? So we're just strengthening to get that rib cage to stay stable as well over your hips. So with that and your TA muscle, it helps to create what I call the body's corset. And let's go a couple more. There's a bit of information I am explaining today, but like I said, with every Pilates video that we do, I'll explain things. I will remind you of where your body needs to be placed. Okay, good, and relax. So if you do suffer some spinal pain or tightness, should I say, this is, I'm going to teach you the pelvic roll-up. The pelvic roll-up is great for loosening up the spine, which flows on into your hips, into your neck and shoulders, okay? So I want you to flatten the lower back into the mat, and then you're going to peel the spine up off the mat as you lift your hips up, just to about hip height, okay? If you can't get up to hip height, that's okay. Warm yourself up to it. Now I want you to think of each vertebra now of the spine, pushing one by one back into the mat to come back down, pressing through the lower back and relax those hips. Try to breathe out now as you repeat the move. Take a breath in at the top, and as you breathe out, one by one, the spine is relaxing back down into the mat. Almost think of it like a string of pearls on a tabletop. If you peel one end up, one by one those pearls come up. And if you place it back down slowly, one by one those pearls come back down. Good. Drawing your lower tummy, pelvic floor on now. Think about adding that to the move and feel how much more stable those hips are when you do that. Keep it on as you come down. It might be a little wobbly coming down if your core muscles are a little weak, the back muscles are a little weak, but compare it to not having them on at all, and you should see a difference. From here, I want you to take your arms out to the side, okay? Put this cushion. All right. Now, having your knees together, feet together, I just want you to take both knees to one side as you turn your head to the other side. So I'm looking at you, but I'm turning my knees the other way. Notice my feet are stacked one on top of the other. Linger, breathe it out and soften through any tightness you're feeling. Bring it back to the center. And breathe it out as you take your head the other way and your knees in the opposite direction. Breathe it out. As you breathe out, let everything soften again. And come back to the center. And then now that you're back in, take your feet wider, about hip width apart. And it's what we call windscreen wipers. So as I turn towards you, my feet are apart, but they're still going to the side. And you might feel a stronger stretch now, whether it be through the back of your hips, for some people into their side here, maybe even up into your arms if you're tight there. Bring it back to the center and swap sides as you breathe out. And bring it back in. Okay, so I'm going to slowly sit up here now. Alright. Very good. Gosh, just 20 minutes and I'm feeling kind of quite nice and loose and limber already. What I would like to leave you with is a little bit to do with your upper body as an example of things that we work on. Okay, I would say 8 out of 10 clients have experienced neck pain, tightness, and a lot of it is because our heads are poking forward. Okay, all of us these days tend to be on our devices looking down. Okay, neck muscles get shortened, these ones here get long and weak. Okay, so we'll start with a couple things. If you can, bring your hands just behind your ears. Now if you have difficulty doing that, even just like that is okay. Alright, so you have your hands behind your ears and I want you to press your elbows behind you. Okay, now your focus, keep your head upright, you don't want to poke forward, but I want you to feel an opening through the front of your shoulders here. Widen them out because they're always like this. Okay, even if we're sitting watching TV, we're always kind of slumped, yeah? So press it out and then relax it in for me. So I'm just going to give you a couple here, but you typically do maybe 5 to 8 of these, whether or not you're sitting at your desk at some point. You just need to relax. All right, and we'll go one more. So I'll show you the wide arm version, and that's just pressing out. Okay, holding that stretch. Beautiful. If you do have trouble doing these two sitting cross-legged, you can always place the cushion under your bottom. That'll take pressure off through your hips, okay, if you're too tight. Otherwise, these types of things can be done standing or even sitting on a chair. All right, from here, what I will get you to do is now take one ear to the same shoulder and just do a side stretch. And even though my ear is reaching for this direction, I'm actually trying to let this relax and pull my neck muscle to stretch. Breathe it out. Now slowly come back, center that head across for me and do the other side. Now you can add a variation by placing the opposite hand under your glute so that it kind of helps pull that shoulder down in resistance as well. Okay, if you are standing, all you'd simply do is grab the arm from behind and pull it. Okay, breathe it out. There are over 100 muscles that lead from the neck into your shoulders. This is a really good way to try to loosen things up. Slowly come back in from that stretch as well. From here, bring one hand to reach right over your scalp. Turn your head towards one side. And I always have a joke with this. You're going to smell your armpit as you pull your head down. Okay? Now, you may need to watch this for a second. I'm actually going to rotate my head a little bit back so it actually went behind. It's like I heard a noise behind, my chin stayed down. I was going to target what we call levator scapular muscle, okay? And it's a very common area of tightness as well. I'm going to pull that down. You can add the hand under your bottom to give you a little bit more stretch and resistance. And then we're going to slowly come out of that one. Recenter. Bring the other hand up and over. Turn to the side. Place your hand on if you want to. Okay. Pull down. Okay, now that might be okay for you. You might be happy just at being there. Otherwise, add that little tilt of the head back. Breathe it out. Slowly come out of that stretch. Okay. And then just to finish off with a little strengthening, you'll stay facing the screen. I'm just turning side on so that you can see. All right, I might even actually put my hair up for this one so you get a really good visualization of your neck muscles. Okay. All right. So quite often we're like this, yeah? Okay, so where our head sits, my ears are probably sitting forward on my shoulders. I want you to grab 2 fingers, pop them on your chin, and then from here you're going to press back. Now as soon as you press back, those ears are hopefully more over my shoulders, but you'll feel a lengthening through the back of your neck. I want you to hold that there for me for about 30 seconds, but keep your eyes at eye level. Don't be looking up and down, look straight ahead. Alright, it's like an emu that retracts their head. If you can think of the emu or the ostrich, how they poke their heads back. And hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax the hand. Something like that you would do a few times. You would practice the strength on the other one. To get a little bit more of your side muscles, you place one hand onto the side of your head and try to keep your head centered over your breastbone there, and just press your head and your hand into each other, and you would hold that. So that's going to help build up some of the strength in the side. Now I'd suggest you always start slowly with something like this, so maybe let's go 15 seconds. Don't push really, really hard, just enough to feel it engage. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you're going to swap sides. Okay, and press, but don't let your head end up here while you're pressing. Okay, keep it all centered and hold for me. And 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, so what I've taken you through today was your pelvic floor work, understanding neutral spine, okay, no slumping of your lower back, and also the transverse abdominis muscle, which is the abdominal muscles we focus on when we do our, not only our core work, should I say, but overall in everything we do, any move we do, whether or not we're doing a squat, whether or not we're lying on our side doing glute work, all these 3 systems are working together. So think about it, TA going across, pelvic floor that goes underneath the pelvis, and then your spinal muscles maintaining neutral spine. That's going to help with your overall health, because if things go wrong here, generally up above or down below suffers knee pain, foot pain, shoulder issues, ribs, back issues. When everything is kind of out of alignment, it just puts everything else out. So I hope you enjoyed today. It was a little bit of information to get through, some little bonuses there with the neck and the spinal release work. I'll release another video next week on starting just a very basic program that you can add to your routine on top of your classes. Again soon. Bye for now.